Hi.
Hi.
So we've been doing this for over a year. How do you feel?
It's so funny for us. Good. Crazy that it's been a year and a half almost, I feel like. And it's also crazy that this has started. I have just a thought in my head and just a shot in the dark. Let's just email 25 people and see what happens. And to get every person to say yes in 1 month was insane. And to just see it grow and grow and grow and grow to where we're at 200 people plus now is incredible, and I'm really proud of us.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think it's been such a journey. Do you have more of a vision now that a year has gone by, or you feel like it's relatively the same day to day, just trying to change, figure out how things should go as a business, how we should operate as a whole?
I feel like we're just getting started. I think that this is something that is definitely my purpose, and I learned so much after emailing and interviewing all these people that it's only sparked more ideas in my mind. And so yeah, I think that we are kind of on this flow. I think that it took us a while to get here, but ultimately it taught us so much. It taught us how people work, how PR agencies work, how brands work, and what they're looking for, and how the industry works. And so I mean, we couldn't have done this. We couldn't have learned what we've learned in school.
No way.
There's just no way. And that's why our Notion template is so cool, because it's literally everything that we've learned over a course of the year just by trial and error, and it has everything you need to start and scale and run a business.
Yeah, I think for us it was, when we were initially introduced to Notion, it was so overwhelming, and I definitely relate to people who look at the software and go, I don't know where to start with this. I definitely felt that way in the beginning, and I know you did too. And I'm not going to say that I'm an expert by any means, but I have a better understanding of the software and its capabilities, and it fulfills our needs in such a unique way that no other software was able to do at the time. And I mean, you have to remember our business model. We had to handle execution of a magazine issue every single month for now, we're on issue now?
16.
So 16. So we've done this 16 times, 16 months. I think we're pretty well versed in this.
Yeah.
And Notion really provided a way for us to handle all of our network outreach, all of our planning, all of our content creation, as well as interconnecting with our team on the needs of just, how do we design, compile, publish, promote this magazine on a monthly basis. And we've definitely changed the way we used to do things. Now we operate so differently than we did a year ago, but the needs have always been fulfilled in Notion to 110% capacity.
Totally. And how do you feel about, aside from Notion, the direction of where we started and to where we're going? How do you think that's evolved, and how has Notion helped that process?
Yeah, I think we initially started all this with the idea that we want to be a monthly magazine. Now we're still a monthly magazine, but we've changed our content schedule to publishing by on a weekly basis, and then we're going to be transitioning that again in the new year to a quarterly basis, which I think will be fantastic. And so definitely in the beginning, our needs have changed so drastically from going from a monthly to a weekly to now a quarterly. But I would say overall it really stays the same. The foundation that we built out in Notion, we might tweak here or there to meet the new content schedule. The foundation has relatively remained the same in Notion. We've gotten definitely better and smarter and more efficient for sure, and we've built out systems that help us do that and help us accomplish that. And also our team has been great at, when they come to us with an idea of hey, can we do this instead? This would help us. We go, yes, no problem, let's build it out in Notion.
Right.
It's so easy to meet those needs for our team.
What do you think? So I guess a good way to say it is, what problems were we having at first, and how did Notion solve those problems for us?
Well, I think for sure one of the challenges that we face is that, even though you and I live relatively close to each other, we decided to operate the business on a remote basis. And so being remote is challenging in its own right. And all of our team is remote. And so it was a matter of how do we create a digital space where everyone can connect and have everything in one place. And it feels organized and it feels kind of like it's our office, our digital office, because we don't have an office that we meet every day.
Totally.
So I think it definitely created like that team home base that we really, really needed. But also it, for us, because we were working on so many softwares, it was hard to compile all the things that we were doing on all of those softwares. And so when we made that leap into Notion, we were able to take all these like unnecessary softwares that we were using on a daily basis and compile everything into one. And so for people out there who are operations and administrative minded like myself, it's been so helpful to have everything in one place. And it also makes it easier on our creative team so that they're not jumping back and forth between different softwares to get assets, different things like that. It's all integrated into one.
Right. I think you hit it on the head when you said it's literally our digital office. If I think about the layout of an office building, I think of, okay, there's different departments, there's different rooms, there are different systems, you know. Not everyone is just unorganized, sitting randomly in a room. Everything has its place. And that's what Notion feels like for me. It's like our office, but online. And so everything has a department, yet we're all updated, but not inundated with overwhelming messages. We're all updated in a very manageable way to where we can function within our specific department, still have a grasp of what's happening in the company from every angle, but also securely store data and know that we have the peace of mind to come back to anything at any time, at any sort of page layout, any activity, it's all there. And we don't need, like you said, 20 softwares. And
right.
Especially with onboarding people, like new hires, that's totally overwhelming. Onboarding anyone and training someone can be a nightmare, and having a whole set of training, you know, programs can be a lot for a manager. And so to just have one place for someone to be onboarded, have all of their training videos on one Notion page, and have that peace of mind that, look, once someone asks a question, we put it on Notion, it's forever there. And it's literally the place where anyone can go to that's new to find what they need. And if they can't find it, they can easily connect with their coworkers and figure it out.
Completely. Yeah, I agree so much. It's so tedious onboarding people. And also, you know, from people, for the person who's being onboarded, it can feel very overwhelming, very scary, especially if they haven't been completely integrated yet into Notion. And so we do our best to create that like welcoming experience where it's like, hey, we know you don't know everything about this software yet, that's okay, but here's all the assets and here's all the things that we've learned along the way. Right. And like you said, you know, training videos and tutorials is very much a part of that. And we're constantly adding to that arsenal of videos. You know, there's things that will come up, we'll go, okay, this is the new protocol, this is the new structure. It's so simple to add that into the training section for that new person who's coming on who may not know how to do that yet. Right. I want to ask though, so as a creative person, I kind of talked about how this feeds like my needs as an operations and admin person. As a creative person, because I know, you know, your role is completely different from mine. You're the creative director of our magazine. You're dealing with the creative team on a day-to-day basis far more than myself. How has Notion impacted your ability to operate as a creative?
I love that question. Specifically because people look at Notion and they probably think this is not going to be helpful for a creative person. It's so structured and dynamic in a beautiful way, but could be very overwhelming for a creative like me. And so as a creative, the first thing I did on Notion was create, it's called the Creative Direction Headquarters. And I store all my templates there. I put our branding standards there. It's kind of like my personal workshop space where I go in and I visualize, okay, if I were to have a creative studio, what would be in my creative studio? And I would just have tons of posters and pens and, you know, tables and ideas, and it would be my space. And I think that Notion does a beautiful job of storing all of that in a super simple, easy way, but also I archived all of our magazines to date, so every single page that I would design is saved under its own toggle menu. And as a creative, it can be sometimes really hard to go back and think, okay, where did I put that, design? Where did I store that? And before it was Google Drive. Before it was random folders on my desktop. Now I literally go to one space and I can find whatever I need there. I can find any template, any font. And what's great is that I get to set the tone of my creative direction headquarters page, meaning if I want it to be 95% visual, Notion gives you that opportunity. You can add photos, you can add a playlist, you can add a video. One of my favorite integrations that Notion has is Loom, and Loom is the video tutorial screen recording software. And so I get to store all of my tutorials on there, and I get to make it a visual place. Whereas your side of things might be just a lot of numbers and data and info, but it's cool to think that, wow, they really have that capacity, to do either. And I think it's important for people to open up their mind to that idea as well. Like, creatives can also have fun on Notion and come up with more ideas. And so that's how I like to use Notion. And it didn't originally start like that. But after so much trial and error, I came to realize, wow, this is my home. Everything I need is here, and no matter where I go, I can always take it with me and create. And my creative team can go to our creative direction page and feel at home because it's a language that they understand. There's lots of imagery, there's lots of quotes, and they get to see my personality come through, which I think is something that people wouldn't really know that about Notion as a creative if you didn't try and make it that space if you want it to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely see that, and it's been amazing to watch what you've built out over time. And like you said, it's so much trial and error. It's like what works, what doesn't. And it's great because we've definitely tried things in Notion that we thought were going to work a certain way and then had to completely convert, that total vision. So that's happened many times, but the fact that we even have the capacity to do that, and it can be done in a way that we're not having to erase data or restart on a completely different section with new data. It's really enabled us to move things around as we need. So I'm curious.
Nothing's wasted.
Right. Nothing is wasted. Right. We can always archive something, come back to it. And that's actually one thing that we do a lot, is that if something is not working, but we think it might be useful down the line, we'll archive it. And Notion also allows you to do that. Just because it's not working at the time doesn't mean it won't be in 6 months.
Which is so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. I wanted to ask you, so I don't consider myself a true creative. I definitely consider you a true creative. I know that the creative process is not linear, and I know that there's, so many different needs that have to be met for creatives to be productive and to also feel like fulfilled in their environment. So when approaching Notion, is there anything that you feel like has helped you integrate, kind of like your personal creative world and your professional creative world in one space, or how do you kind of balance or use the software to your advantage in that capacity?
I love that. I think having a designated place for my own brain, aside from the creative, larger scale department, helps me differentiate between my thought process and the ones that I want to, the different ideas and thoughts that I want to carry over to the department itself. And that's what's nice, is that I have my own personal dashboard on Notion where I can go in, brain dump a ton of ideas, tag people in them on a to-do list, and then have their live feedback, and they can comment, I love this idea, let's run with it. We can pull that over to the creative department side and build it out to see it come to fruition. And I think that having a space that allows you to have like a personal wellness side of things, like journal your thoughts, how are you feeling, what's my to-do list, let's get a grasp on my own schedule, really allows me to like organize things well on the creative department side of things, and to also just be super vulnerable with my team. They can see what I'm thinking. They can see what I'm writing. It's almost like when you walk into someone's office, you can see their Post-it notes. You can see their personality. What kind of mug do they have? You know, like how do they go about their day? I feel like when people go to my personal Notion dashboard, they can see who I am, and they're stepping into my office, and we can carry out the elements that really matter over to our like creative direction headquarters page.
I love that. That makes a ton of sense. So I kind of wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the things that we've dealt with so much as business owners. And I think the reason I want to start talking more about some of the trials and tribulations is because I think it will help people better understand our hearts as business owners and where we're coming from with this template and why we've put so much energy and effort into creating a template like this. And so I'll kind of just start with saying, you know, at the bare minimum, I can definitely relate to feeling totally illegitimate as a business. Like, what are we doing? What's the day-to-day? Like, am I okay? Are you okay? Like, we've definitely dealt with so many ups and downs when it comes to that. And, you know, I can't promise that this template will solve all those issues, but it definitely gives you a sense of legitimacy. And I love what Nicole said earlier about treating this like it's our office. This is our office, and this is the place that we can come into work and work in a place that is organized and connected to our team and as relatable as possible to, you know, our needs, the things that we're going through as a team. And so, but I definitely kind of wanted to get your feedback on some of the things that we've gone through, like the ups and downs of just like, it's so hard sometimes. I mean, totally. One thing I can definitely say is, you know, we go through days where we send out so many emails and it's like, does anyone listen? Is anyone responding? Is anyone reading? Does anyone care? And it can feel like you're an island.
Like standing, I just envision us standing on the top of a canyon screaming like, hello. And it's just like echo, echo, echo. Because it's like, you just wonder, all this work that you're putting forth, is it coming full circle? And I feel that our confidence grew a lot when we started tracking our data in Notion. And we were able to use their tables to say, okay, we got a warm lead. This is a cold lead. This is an absolute no. This is super hot. How can we connect people? I mean, we never thought that our network would be as powerful as it is if we didn't have Notion, because Notion, due to its features and how amazing it is, we were able to make connections and connect people just because of the layout of everything. And so I think my perspective on that would be, sometimes you are in your mundane day-to-day and you're just hating it. And you're just like, why isn't anyone listening? Who's out there? Is what we're doing working? But you look back at the data that you're able to track on Notion and you start to get this confidence of like, oh wow, people are responding to this. For example, we save a ton of DM templates and pitch decks and email templates. And we can look back now and see which ones yielded our best ROI. If we just kept it in a Google Doc, I don't think that we would have had the results that we have now, because Notion was able to save everything and we can see what works, what doesn't. What about you? What do you feel was like a game changer in that regard?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think Notion is like the proof. Notion's like, here's the proof that we've done all this work. And it is a portfolio of all the beautiful things that we've done. And so for me, whenever I'm having a day where I'm like, I feel like we're not making progress as a company, being able to go and look at old strategies and look at our network and our databases, I can see, okay, no, we've really put in the effort. We're doing a lot. There are things that haven't worked, surely, but there's plenty of things that are working for us. And you can kind of track that progress. And so it's extremely encouraging to me, because when those moments of uncertainty arise, which is very, very common, especially when you're launching a business, but I know that will continue throughout the business's life, you know, it's encouraging to see, no, we've put in so much effort and work, and here's the proof. It doesn't mean that everything will work, but at least we have something to look at and can kind of see the picture. I think
That's so good.
Because the business has changed so much over a year, it's like, okay, we're definitely not where we started, but that's a good thing because we tried all these things and we're like, nope, that doesn't work, or this does work, let's run with it.
Right.
And so being able to visually see all of that is such a cool part of it for me.
I think that's so cool, and it reminds me of the emotional journey of being an entrepreneur, especially being a woman, having hormones and the day-to-day stress of just life and responsibilities, relationships. It's like that, and having a business can be so overwhelming at times. So to look back and see with our own eyes all of the work that we put in, because Notion does such a great job of storing it and saving it, keeps me going. I honestly think it's super easy to forget, all the work that we've done. And so when I log on to Notion and I see our beautiful dashboard, I have a sense of pride. I'm like, wow, I'm really proud of us, because look at these people, look at these interviews, look at this information. And it honestly is the rock that keeps me going.
100% agree. And the one thing I will say, which I think this is kind of a given from our whole conversation, but it's that it's so amazing how I can have my dashboard the way that I need it to be, and Nicole can have hers the way that she needs it to be, and it completely can coexist on this one, software, and our complete company software. And so it doesn't matter, what your background is or where you come from or what your needs are. Those are completely able to be built out and met. And so my day-to-day needs are completely different from yours, and the things that I want to prioritize are completely different from what you prioritize. And so just want to encourage people that, it doesn't matter if the team has different personalities or different ways of working. This software is made for people who have completely different ways of operating, and allows you to coexist in a way that is really sufficient and productive and organized.
Absolutely. And what do you think? So I'm also thinking what's cool about that too is that I can understand you better, and I can feel out how you think and how you see the world, because I look at your Notion dashboard, your personal dashboard, and I'm like, okay, I understand this is how Danica works. And then me being a creative, you look at mine and you're like, that's totally not how I would do it, but this is how Nicole functions.
Right.
And so we get to meet each other where we're at, and we get to learn how to best communicate to each other and follow through. And one thing I was going to mention too, and I want to ask you, what are your favorite things that we do that are fun, that are kind of like, oh, they're not needed, but just some things that we add that maybe some people don't know about, that really change the way we operate our business. I want to ask you that, but in a second. I think that it's cool to also mention that we, in addition to our personal dashboards, have a section where we talk about our company culture, and we do fun facts on me and you, and we can literally put our favorite music, books. So you, in a way, have this elevated experience where you get to relate to people in a remote setting, and they can learn different parts of your personality without, having to be overwhelmed and inundated with learning that over time through emails or phone calls. Everything is just super exploratory, and you get to have fun learning about your different coworkers, because you go on their dashboard and it's like, oh, this is who they are. And that's an office in-person experience that is hard to translate digitally, but I think they did super well. So in addition to that, what are some other fun things that we do and that Notion allows us to do that makes the work experience better?
Yeah, I think, a couple of things that come to mind is we do weekly announcements on our dashboards. If any new information is coming in, we're letting the team know, even if it doesn't pertain to every single department. I think it's really important that if the company has news or something is changing, everyone should get to know about it and have, the luxury of knowing it in advance. And so we definitely try to integrate weekly announcements where it's necessary. We also do a monthly update. So as we get new team members that are being onboarded, we make sure to welcome them and put them on our monthly updates, which is also on the home dashboard of our Notion. And, occasionally I'll pop in with different things that I'm learning or reading or doing. And it's not so much to, shove my ideas down other people's throats. It's more so to just include people in, hey, I'm doing this. If you're interested, the information's there. If you're not, no worries. I think for Nicole and I, we really come from a deep need to align, spiritually and also holistically. And so part of our, day to day, we definitely integrate a lot of spiritual practices and a lot of holistic habits for just leading healthy lives. And that's important to be able to communicate that to our team, and also, meet our team in that spiritual way that may not be, the traditional business standard, but that we know works and helps us to connect with other people. And so in any way that we can do that, whether it's one-on-one personally or in more of a group setting, like, monthly updates, weekly updates, and also integrating, our Slack chat and reaching out to people and connecting.
Totally. Yeah, I love that. It really allows for a full experience without feeling overwhelmed and confused. I think that we have gone through so much over the last year where we not only know how to use Notion, but we know how to make it simple and easy for people. And that's, I think, what business owners need when they're starting, something that's not overwhelming, something that's simple. And that's what our Notion template, provides. And it's funny because we can even talk about the fact that we weren't even planning on doing this.
No.
Like we totally just created our own Notion, so much trial and error, and we saw a need and we fulfilled it because we have built our own Notion for a year and we've learned so much. And I was just like, man, Danica, if we had this when we first started, we're saving people a year's worth of work. Like
hours and hours of trying to figure this out and building it out with you and me and also other people, 100%.
And it's truly the greatest gift, and it's a one-time investment. You buy it once, you'll have it forever, and it's the gift that keeps on giving because you continuously can add to it and customize it. And, I think this has really become a physical manifestation of a tool that will continue to develop and grow over time and also inspire people because there's so much. There's so much to do. There's always a need. There's always an idea. And the fact that Notion allows you to customize anything to your liking, to any sort of need that you have digitally, it's super exciting for us because already we've mentioned that, wow, we can serve so many different women and every demographic, and it will continue to yield the same results of efficiency, productivity, and ease.
Exactly.
So
I think that, the one thing I will say, we made this with the intention of, female business owners, but also female entrepreneurs. And so, for me, the significance with entrepreneurs is that we're acknowledging that people will probably pursue many business ventures in a lifetime. And so this Notion template, like you said, is a one-time investment and it can be duplicated for all of your businesses. So let's just say, you've worked on one business for 5 years and now you're transitioning into a sister company. You can duplicate that Notion and completely operate those companies separately, or you can integrate them into one. And so it's very, very versatile. I also will say we definitely add a lot of personal wellness elements to this, but that's not to say that you have to store your personal wellness on your business page. If you want, you can duplicate this template and keep company and personal separate and operate out of two Notions. I know that you do that as well, Nicole. You have a personal Notion and you have our Notion that you work out of. So it doesn't have to be together, but we also wanted to be mindful that when you're an entrepreneur, personal life and work are pretty much together, especially in the beginning when you're trying to get a company off the ground. And so that's kind of why we integrated the two. Does not have to stay that way though. The other thing that I will say for people out there who are more operations and administrative like myself, putting out your Notion and committing to the process of making information extremely accessible and assets extremely accessible to your team enables you to take time off and not have people bugging you for different things.
So true.
And so I've really committed to the process of if I'm a new person and I need to find something on Notion, how do I make it so easy to do so that no one's bothering me? If I want to take the weekend and have my phone on Do Not Disturb, I don't want anyone to feel like they can't find information or assets unless they reach out to me. And so I view it as the gift of freedom of if I invest my time getting assets onto this Notion page, keeping it extremely organized, creating solutions for my team, it enables me to take a step back from the business and gives me the freedom to not think about business, and people can still continue to do their work in a productive way.
Absolutely. I love that, because that's the end goal, is freedom. We all want that. We all want to live happy, healthy lives, but at the same time still have the confidence to know that they can handle it on their own because the product is so good, because Notion has everything that they need. We can be confident in our day-to-day knowing they're taken care of. So that's a really good point. And to get back to the personal side of things, just to touch on that a little bit, I want to kind of walk through my daily morning routine of how I use the personal Notion page and how you use it when you first log on. What are your favorite rituals and routines with Notion? And to start off, on my personal Notion page, which is also implemented in our large template, like Danica said, you can duplicate it and separate it if you want. But my favorite thing to do is to wake up in the morning, to go onto my personal Notion, play a podcast on my playlist stored in Notion, to write out a 5-minute journal. We have business news. I like to click on those links, check out some things that are happening in the world today. I like to organize my to-do list. I like to track my emotions. We have a beautiful emotion wheel, so I get to kind of touch base with my heart. And I think that if you're listening to your intuition, asking yourself, how are we feeling today? That is a great compass that will ultimately direct you the rest of the day. And you can kind of base your decisions off of your energy and your emotions, which a lot of people say, oh, business is just no emotion. It's just business. But I think realistically, you want something sustainable, and we're human. We have emotions. We want to be emotionally intelligent. It's important to touch base with yourself and to be a healthy individual. And so I also track my finances. Every dollar in, every dollar out goes on my budget tracker. I have my personal calendar there that is synced up to my Google Calendar. So without having to go to a separate page, I can just look on my Google Calendar and know with confidence, okay, I know what my day's like. And I can also track my goals. I have a vision board there. So that's kind of a separate nice addition that someone can take away from our template and be at ease knowing that, okay, I don't need to even buy all these softwares and all these journals. We embedded some meditation videos. Literally everything you need is there for both your personal health and your business health as well. So what are your favorite routines on Notion when you first log in?
That's a great question. So I would definitely say, before I log into work, my day starts 2 hours prior to that. And so I do a lot of spiritual work and personal things outside of Notion. But when I do log into Notion for the day, the first thing I do is a mindset check-in. It's actually something that I've customized on my personal dashboard so that no one else can see it. It's just on mine. And it's just a daily habit tracker. I'm literally just checking in, asking myself, how am I feeling? How am I operating? Am I operating out of a place of gratitude? If not, how can I integrate more gratitude into my day? And so it's literally a daily habit tracker of checking in with myself. And sometimes things will come up that I wasn't even consciously aware of, something that was kind of hanging out in my subconscious. But what that does is it really gives me insight into, okay, this is kind of where I'm operating out of today. And some days are better than others. And also, we mentioned earlier, being a woman, hormones definitely play a huge factor into how I'm feeling that day. But once I have an understanding of how I'm feeling, then I can communicate to you, hey, I'm feeling really low energy today. I don't think I can take a bunch of phone calls. I'm going to be kind of doing more administrative things. Or, I have a ton of energy today. I really would like to spearhead this project with you. And so it gives me just a way to kind of communicate with you my baseline of this is where I'm at and this is my ability, this is where my abilities are for today. So that would definitely be like the first step of my day. Once that's done, I double check my to-do list. My to-do list is something that I do at the very end of the day. I just kind of write out things that I want to do for the next day. And then in the morning, I just take a big scan of this is what I have going on that day. And then from there, I check in with my team immediately. Sometimes I have messages waiting for me. Sometimes it was kind of a quiet night. There's nothing really to follow up on. And then I will start doing tasks, handing out tasks to my team. So I'll go onto everyone's individual task dashboards and assign tasks for the day. Sometimes I assign them as much as a week or 2 weeks in advance, but there are daily needs that come up. And so that's where I would go in and add those to people's task dashboards and then just make them aware, hey, I've added a task to your dashboard. For me, this is a priority 1, or this is actually a priority 3, and that's another way that Notion enables us to easily organize tasks and give people an idea of when tasks should be completed. And then from there, it's like checking emails, checking in with you, tackling my to-do list for the day, taking notes. I usually take a lot of notes from your needs and also from calls that we might have during the day. And organizing, I do a lot of organizing. Like there's still things that need to be uploaded. There's still things that need to be moved from one area to the next. And then at the end of the day, just do like a final check-in with my to-do list and just refine what needs to be done for the next day.
I love that. That's so powerful because that gives people an actual look into how we incorporate it start to finish. And I was also going to ask, kind of to wrap all of this up, how do you visualize the high energy, passionate entrepreneur that is ready to get started? How do we visualize them using this starting off, and how will they benefit from it out of the gate?
I think initially it's just going to give you a place of structure where you can take all of these amazing ideas that you have for your business and put it into a really organized way. And then down the line, as you onboard team members, or maybe as you already have team members that you need to integrate, this creates such an easy segue for them from the original operations of the business to now how you guys will be operating. And then I think from there, you will definitely be able to utilize all of the pages that we've built out, and you can customize them even further. It can be as simple or as complex as you need it to be. And it will definitely be a software that will grow with you. It will change quite a bit because your needs as a company will continuously change, but it will be something that you will be able to use truly for a lifetime, and genuinely unlimited storage. You can upload as much as you need to and archive as much as you need to. It will basically be a lifetime software for your company.
Oh, I completely agree. I would even say, yeah, it's a lifeline. It's something that you can count on every day, that when you do experience those entrepreneurial high and lows and what the hell, like, I don't know what I'm doing, help, like when you experience those moments, you can come back to Notion and feel peace, knowing, okay, this is structure, everything's here, my team is here, I know I can control this, and this will continue to grow with me because it's a constant place of storage, of growth, of community, and you can trust it. It's reliable, and I think that's what people starting out really need. They need that confidence. They need to be able to trust that everything is in one space working for their greatest good. And so, yeah, I think everything you said is totally spot on.
Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for me. I would just say, like, just know that this template is genuinely a culmination of over a year's worth of our work and dedication.
Yes.
And it's everything that we found helpful, and we've eliminated the stuff that wasn't helpful for us. And so hopefully have created just a really refined template for you guys to utilize in your day-to-day lives, and also the day-to-day life of the company that you're going to be growing and expanding.
Absolutely. And to anyone listening, please let us know what your needs are. We would love to create a digital product that could meet your needs through Notion. We think this is so much bigger than just a Notion template. It's truly a community. It's a group of women that are helping each other grow their businesses and support each other. And so, yeah, let us know. And definitely check out our Notion template. You will be pleasantly surprised and you will love it. I promise. Is there anything else you want to add?
That's it.
All right.
Thanks.
There we go.